Hi, I'm Harry.
And I'm George, and we are K&K Productions.
We've been directing short films on YouTube for about 10 years now, and we've just shot a proof of concept for our first feature. So on this video, we want to talk about why we made that proof of concept, how we made it, the actual kind of lead up and the shooting process.
Any lessons we learned along the way that we might be able to pass on to you about making a proof of concept of your own.
Future Harry here from 2025. We actually shot this proof of concept back in 2020, but this did lead to our first feature film, not based on Survivors, the short you will hopefully watch before you watch this, but it did lead to us getting Accident Man, Hitman's Holiday, film starring Scott Adkins. It's on Netflix, Amazon, those kind of places. So yeah, this did work out kind of just not exactly how we wanted, but we think the advice is still good, so hope you enjoy the vid.
So our feature film is called Survivors, and it's an action horror with some elements of comedy, doesn't take itself too seriously, and it's basically an old-fashioned zombie movie. We wanted to do something a bit different. So with our love of action, the basic premise is really cool martial artists, trickers, parkour performers versus zombies. So there's no guns, it's all them kind of trapped in a space with zombies, they've got to get out, and it's just them using all their cool martial arts skills to beat the crap out of zombies.
So we actually wrote this script like 5 years ago now. It's the first feature we've ever written. So we've written shorts and stuff before. We've been doing action shorts for 10 years, that's what we do. So we wanted to stick with what we know, and that's our strength. We were gonna make another short that we'd written.
We wanted to show off that we could do the kind of
The character pieces,
yeah,
something a bit more of an emotional level, but still had our kind of flair for action and stuff within it that we thought would do better in festivals. But we actually chatted to a few other filmmakers who are making features already, and they kind of just said, look, you can make another short, but ultimately you'll be sort of in the same position you are now. You've already made lots of shorts, you've got content to show of what you can do. It made sense to then just go, okay, well, let's just go to make the first feature.
That led us to take our script out to the place called AFM, which is the American Film Market. So me and George flew out to LA. If anyone doesn't know, the American Film Market is kind of a place where all of the business side of film happens. You go to this hotel, and there's distributors, financiers, sales agents, all the people that kind of connect to the money of getting a film made. You go there with your material, what you have, and you essentially pitch it to these people on the spot, and if they like what they hear or they like what they see, then you can then have a more serious meeting, and then you can potentially get an offer to have your film financed. So it's a great place to go, and it was an insane learning curve over a week.
I mean, ultimately we were pretty unprepared, really.
Yes, now I look back on it, we were completely unprepared.
But that's what was great about it, is that we learned lots of lessons, and obviously got to meet loads of people, gave us lots of advice while we were there. First day that we went there, we kind of were just going in cold to these big companies trying to pitch, and obviously our pitch wasn't particularly refined.
Well, it was literally like, hi, we're two guys from England, we've never directed a film before, we've got a script here, can you give us loads of money, please? And they were just like, get out of my office. The first day was absolutely demoralising.
We even said we made a mistake coming here, but as the week progressed and we spoke to more people, some people were really kind enough to give us some good advice, about how to pitch, things to say, things not to say. We kind of quickly refined our pitch. By the end of the week, we'd actually had a couple of offers, people to finance our film. It actually turned out to be a really, really great experience.
The key thing we took out of it was, so we did get a couple of offers. Short version of that story is they didn't pan out in the end. It showed us what we needed to do to go and get the money. The people looking at your pitch essentially don't want to have any questions. They want to see a full budget breakdown, so you've already worked out how much it's going to cost, and they can see you've worked that out. Full script ready to go. They want to see a schedule. You're going to shoot this over 36 days. Here are the locations. They know that matches your budget. We've got a pretty decent show reel. We've had 10 years of making short films, and that show reel was getting us through the door at these meetings and stuff like that. But they essentially want to see what this project is going to look like, which is where a proof of concept comes in. The proof of concept is the closest thing you can do to show someone this is what our film is going to look like. And then once they've looked at that material, it's either a yes or no answer, and you've kind of done pretty much the most you can, other than going out and financing the film yourself.
It's a showcase of what the film is, what it's going to be about, how it's going to look, see the action, the type of action it's going to be. For us as directors, can we put a scene together basically? Within that proof of concept, have we told enough of the story or set up the world well enough that they can go, yeah, I can see exactly where this film's going. So for them, they can go, okay, I can see what this is going to be. I can see where I'm going to market this, where I'm going to sell it, who it's going to be popular with.
And it also just shows that we can manage and we can handle the pressures of having that large crew and that bigger team and making that all work. We shot the opening sequence to the feature, which is essentially a 6-minute straight action sequence with a little bit of kind of introduction to the characters and stuff like that. It was a big thing for us as well, to prove that we can go out and shoot stuff on that scale. So that's the reasons for making a proof of concept. So now we want to kind of talk about the process of doing it. So first of all, some kind of pre-production stuff. When you're making an action piece especially, you need to do a lot of kind of pre-planning and preparation.
The worst thing you can do with action is turn up on a day and just try and put it together on the day. Like, it just doesn't work. You know, you don't end up with high quality action, you end up with basic, because that's all you can do. You can't expect people to do complex fights or moves or choreography and stuff on the day. You know, they need time to practice, everyone needs to know what's going on.
It's not even just for the performers, it also means that we're never going to shoot. If we're making it up on the day, we're just going to go, all right, we can get this angle here, and you just might not get the best out of it. We like to plot each point of the action out in you know, as individual shots.
Action is all about movement. Action is movement. You're finding the best ways to accentuate that movement, make that movement look as cool as possible, and tell the best story through that movement. So having the camera in the right place. We specifically like to have the camera moving all the time as well, to again add to the movement and stuff. So we're never really trying to stay still too much. We're trying to move the camera with the action.
So in preparation, we did quite a lot of what is called pre-vising or pre-visualization, which is basically where you shoot a kind of rough version of what you're going to film in the final product. We did it in two ways. We shot some live action stuff. So for the actual main fight sequence that's within this proof of concept, we shot it in live action. So we took, you know, our stunt guys and our performers down to a gym. We spent a few days down there kind of working out the action, and then we actually shot the angles that we were going to use in the final piece. The second way was, you know, one advantage to the lockdown that we had was that me and George then kind of took the time to teach ourselves something called Unreal Engine. And Unreal Engine is something that games use to make their games. So yeah, we like locked ourselves away and we're just kind of making, we both made a couple of little short films just using the Unreal. But then what we were able to do, which was really cool, was take that to make previs for the big action sequences that we were going to shoot.
So like with the fighters, obviously we can go to the gym, we can kind of make a rough approximation of the set we're going to be shooting in. The scenes in our proof of concept were in the middle of London. Obviously we can't access those locations just to shoot a previs or anything. So what was great with Unreal was I was actually able to pull data from Google Maps and put that into Unreal Engine. So we actually had the locations in 3D, and then we're able to create all the shots. So we knew exactly where the camera could be, where we could be, you know, we could even work out the logistical stuff we could use it for. But for the previs, it was really handy to actually have the actual space, and we could see what it was like. If it was sunny, all those things we could kind of work out before we got to the shoot.
So we had like a 5-minute piece, and we could see how all the edits flow, and we could be like, actually, no, that shot won't work well there, let's change that. When we were turning up on the day for the shoot, we had a full video edit of what it could look like. Our ADs could be looking at that, our DOP could be looking at that kind of stuff. So it just meant everyone was on the same page, and it just made the process so much quicker. Then once we were fully prepped, we'd obviously assembled our crew.
I think over the whole project we had, what?
80 people.
Yeah, 80 people. So, which is for us, you know, considering we usually work with very small crews and teams on our shorts, was quite a large number of people.
So yeah, we kind of assembled our team, and we're pretty much ready to go. So for our proof of concept, we decided to shoot the opening scene of our film. And we thought this worked because it highlighted a lot of action, it also introduced the characters, and it gave a good idea of the tone. So this scene is basically a chase sequence with a guy in like a bike helmet riding through London on a BMX, and then he ends up getting chased through London by zombies. And they're not the slow zombies, they're the kind of fast, vicious, more infected than zombies. So that was the sequence, and it has 3 parts. It had an opening and intro, which was empty streets of London, then like leading into the bike chase. And then the second part was he gets knocked off the bike and he has like a fight sequence where he beats the crap out of a load of zombies with a baseball bat. And then the third part of the sequence is where he's racing towards a kind of base that him and his friends have been living in. And it's like the final kind of stretch of him just about surviving and just getting away from these zombies. So we had 3 different locations, 3 different parts to the proof of concept. So day 1, we were shooting the middle part of the sequence, which was the fight sequence. So we're in this cool kind of basement level location, which had like these big pillars in it.
So because it's day 1, we've got some new crew, we've got some old crew that we've worked with before, but obviously trying to get all the crew to kind of bond and start working together. It's always a little bit slow at the start because everyone's kind of working out what's going on, who's who. So obviously we have some setup time, unloading, just get everything to location basically, and then we have our team meeting and explain what's going on, give everyone a brief, and then get cracking really.
We were also working, like George says, with some new people. So we had Sean, he was working with us as a DOP on this shoot. And Sean was great to work with, he's very relaxed, very chilled out. Different directors have requirements for different types of DOPs. Some directors like to work with DOPs that the DOP kind of really plans all the shots, kind of really takes control of all the shooting. We tend to be much more hands-on. George, you know, is actually operating the camera pretty much 100% of the time. We need a DOP that's going to work with us in that way, that they are really there just to make everything look as pretty as possible and as cool as possible. possible, but we're going to be more hands-on with the equipment. So Sean fits in perfectly with that, and it was great to have him on the team. We also had a new first AD in Dan. It was the biggest production, so we needed someone that could kind of manage the amount of crew and the amount of extras, all that kind of stuff. And Dan did a great job. George had a team with him, Matt Wilson and Rory Thomas. We've worked with Matt loads before, friend as well as a great camera operator, and Matt was George's first AC.
So Matt was doing the focus pulling and just really keeping on top of me, especially when we're rushing. Matt was making sure everything was looking nice on the camera, properly focused, exposed right, because I'm really thinking about the action, what's going on. When Rory was there, making sure Matt had everything he needed.
Clapperboard and all that kind of stuff.
Doing the clapperboard.
I mean, I think Rory will even admit, first day for him, he was learning a lot, but then by second, third day, he was like really on it and really doing a great job. Lots of other people on the crew as well that we've not worked with before, so that first day is really important. So as we were doing a chase sequence on a bike here, we obviously needed someone who was a very good bike rider and not just, can ride a bike, but can do stunts, tricks, jumps and stuff on it. So we found an amazing professional BMXer called Matt Harris. Well, I say found, actually, George worked with him on a project.
Yeah, I'd actually worked with him on a film before on Mary Poppins. They had loads of bike riders and stuff, so Matt was one of those guys. So yeah, I got in contact through a friend of Matt's. Matt seemed keen to come on, so we met up, and he's really cool guy, and obviously got the skills that we need. He rides professionally, worked with Red Bull, so we knew that we were going to be in safe hands with him.
But with Matt, if we asked him to do something, he could do it basically. We weren't restricted in what we could get Matt to do. So he worked really hard, did a great job. So thank you, Matt. And then on the fight side of things, so for this day mainly, this first day, we had Iski Faye, who we've worked with lots of times before. He's a stuntman, actor, martial artist. He's been in loads of our shorts before. We love working with Iski. Again, very chilled, very relaxed. And he did the kind of fight portion. So we literally swapped the costume over to Iski, or they had their own version each. Iski was swinging the background, smashing the crap out of zombies. So again, he always works amazingly hard and did a really good job. So thank you, Iski. So as George mentioned, movement is very important to us in terms of capturing action. And obviously this is a bike chase, so there is a ton of movement because we have to follow the bike through all the action. One way that we wanted to do that was through lots of tracking shots where we are literally following the bike.
Well, yeah, so when you're working on tight budgets and stuff, you have to get innovative and kind of use things that are your strengths. So I can rollerblade a little bit. So
It's a pretty good rollerblade, don't you?
So we decided we would have me on skates, and I would have the handheld camera, so I could then go wherever the bike goes, follow, track, push, pull. I essentially became the track and dolly, rolling on smooth wheels, and then I basically can do wherever I want with the camera.
Shots came out really well, and it just kept things moving quickly.
Yeah.
Meant that George also could be directing and moving around on the skate.
Yeah, and like I say, just kept things moving fast, and that's the way we like to work. Anything that can allow us to move quickly, reduce setup times, and just get from shot to shot as quick as possible and efficiently as possible. We'd get that shot, and I go, okay, we'll set up the next shot because I'm on my skates. So we don't have to then lift up the track and dolly, move it all over and all that stuff. I can just skate over there and be ready to go. So it worked really well for what we wanted. So
yeah, definitely, yeah. Then we were kind of getting into an action sequence where Matt's knocked off the bike, and then we go into a fight sequence. And this is where obviously lots of our stunt performers come in.
So all the stunt guys and girls are people I've worked with before, professional stunt performers, mostly from the British Stunt Register, very skilled at what they do. A lot of them fight guys, worked on some of the biggest films in the world. Really lucky to have those guys on board. It sets the action apart. They got, give great performance, especially like John, who we had a zombie that knocks the rider off the bike and is really going for him, sort of thing.
Jason Curl, who we've worked with before. Jason's worked with us on a few shorts, and he kind of was acting as like our action arranger.
Yeah, keeping everything efficient, keeping everything moving, on tight schedules, having someone like Jason to keep everyone organised, the stunt department, and make sure they know what they're going to be doing next. So he comes to us, says what's next, what we're doing, and we tell him he can go off, get the guys prepped, make sure they've got their pads on, make sure we've got Matt standing by, all that stuff that we're going to need for the next scene and stuff. Jason was great at keeping that moving.
For me, getting to work with these professional stuntmen was like a real pleasure, and yeah, they're a great team. So once we'd done all that prep work and going through everything, we were ready for our main fight. This was Iski's time to shine, so we swapped Matt off the bike, and we had Iski doing the fight stuff. In terms of this fight sequence, obviously it has to be that our hero is killing zombies. The only way to kill a zombie is to smash its brain in. Using the baseball bat to smash him in the head, and then also with the kind of fighting, tricking stuff, it had to be stuff that resulted in the zombies smashing their head.
Basically all the hits they're kind of like over exaggerated, go over the top, but that's what it's supposed to be fun. Cool ways of killing zombies. And what we try to do is get that feeling of impact, being sort of hit hard. They had guys on, it's called Dead Men, where they're on a line, they run into a stop, which then sort of snaps them back. So we get that feeling of them getting hit and really, taking that impact. So we had Sam slide in, we had George doing a scorpion, which a scorpion is when you literally, you come in sort of head down, your legs curl over the top of your head a little bit, looks horrible and painful. And obviously you got Iski doing his tricking moves, kind of flipping around, spinning in the air and stuff, which, just looks visually very cool.
Pleasing. Yeah.
But obviously all this stuff these guys make look easy, but it's not easy stuff, and that's why they're there and that's why they're doing it, because they've got the skills. It doesn't always go right, but that's the thing, that they might fall, land funny or whatever, but they will get back up, do it again until we get it right. Guys work really hard and do some really cool stuff.
At the end of this day, we did a shoot with our child actor, Ronnie. Ronnie is actually the son of a friend of ours, Robbie. You may have seen Robbie pop up in a few of our films in the past. He likes to appear as an extra. So Ronnie came in, and it's always interesting working with a child actor. And obviously, because we know him, he's kind of relaxed with us. But even for him, he had a whole crew around watching him. So he did get a bit nervous when he was doing his performance.
Yeah, with the help of the crew and stuff, we kind of cleared as many people away as possible, focused on what he was doing, and in the end, he gave us some really cool.
Yeah, 100%. I don't know how Robbie felt about watching his son get hit with a baseball bat. Ronnie was really up for it, and Matt, our BMX rider, actually made like a good connection on the day, so was helping us to keep him relaxed and all that kind of stuff. I think Ronnie's got a little future ahead of him. Yeah, so after what ended up being a slightly brutal first day, we were on to day 2, and day 2 was actually the end of the sequence. This was might have ended up being my favourite day of filming. Sun was shining, and we were
luckily we literally had no contingency for if it hadn't been rain. So
we were at this amazing location called the Millennium Mills. Millennium Mills is this huge old building that is over in London. We literally have had this location in our mind to shoot at from the very conception of this film. We actually wrote the feature film around using this location. So after writing something like 5 years before, to finally be able to shoot at this location was a really amazing feeling.
You've probably seen it in loads of stuff.
Films, adverts.
It was well, the biggest recent thing was Spider-Man.
Oh yeah, Far From Home.
It's just a really cool location. It's really dilapidated, and
all the windows are smashed in.
Yeah, it looks straight out of like a zombie movie sort of thing.
And it's huge as well. The scale just really gives that's what we wanted for when we're having this chase. That you see the zombies and Matt on his little BMX, and then it's just this huge building behind it.
But it's also surrounded by water as well. So the reason we wanted it as well is it's as a base for if you were going to protect yourself into a base, that it's protected on 3 sides by water. So you only got to protect one side from the zombies. So it kind of works on a story level as well.
So our first day, we really just had the stunt guys and our performers in terms of people that were in the shots, whereas this day we had lots of extras as well. So as well as Matt, we then also had some extra actors, because we're introducing some extra characters in the scene. This is where our AD team really come into play. Dan, our first AD, is managing everyone. Marty, our second AD, the rest of their team are kind of looking after the extras, making sure they're all where they need to be for when we're shooting, which then also gives an extra challenge to our makeup and costume departments. Ariana, our head of makeup, and then Luca, our head of costume. And their teams have got to get all the zombies dressed and in costumes, get them all made up. I mean, the makeup process is pretty nuts.
We had 2 types of zombies. We had feature zombies and then background zombies. So feature one doing airbrushing and more detail.
Full treatment,
yeah, full treatment. So a bit more detail. And then we had the background zombies, which we use tattoo veins and stuff like that. So because they're not going to be seen quite so close on camera, it didn't matter so much. Just for help with speed and stuff to get people through. And this is where our scheduling and stuff really paid off, because they had so many people to get through. So you make sure you start with shots with the rider on his own and stuff. Anything where we didn't need all the zombies, and then by the time we've done those shots, they're all ready, and then we can move on to those shots with the zombies in.
So as we were at an outside location for this day, and we really wanted to show off the scale of it, really feature the Millennium Mills building, we decided to have a lot of drone shots on this day. So we had professional drone operator Sam, who came in, really talented at flying the drones. He's got lots of different types of drones. We were able to then have Matt flying along the BMX, and the drone just kind of tracking him or following him and just doing these big reveals on the Millennium Mills building, or getting these just huge high angles to kind of show the scale of all of our zombies running in to attack.
Sounds great, and he's very professional, so we were very lucky to have him.
On the first day, obviously we had George on the skates doing the tracking stuff, but with this location it's gravel, we're outside, and we wanted Matt going at full pace on the bike, so George couldn't possibly keep up on the skates. So we had a tracking vehicle, which was basically George's van, rigged up so that we could have the camera in there on a tripod in the back, and we could get stable tracking shots. So that way we could have Matt kind of going at full pace, our zombies all sprinting, all that kind of stuff. We want to say a big shout out to our extras for this day. They were relentlessly having to basically sprint after a van or sprint after Matt.
Tiring work for them.
And no one complained, everyone kind of got on with it.
Yeah, well, we were sat in a comfy van. driving along.
And logistically for us, it was good. It felt big scale. It felt exciting to be shooting. And, you know, from my point of view, just seeing 20, 30 zombies all kind of like running after Matt and all that kind of stuff was it was cool. And it gave us some really good shots. Matt also had to work his ass off in this section. He was pedaling through gravel. It was boiling hot. He's in like a bike helmet, a hoodie.
He's got, we put the pads on him as well for the shape, you know, to keep him. So he had pads, hoodie, you know, a helmet, which, you know, is not particularly breathable. So he was like dripping with sweat most of the time.
He was basically having to regularly be stripped down to like keep him cool, but yeah, he worked really hard this day.
Yeah.
At the end of this sequence, we introduced the idea that there's other characters that he's living with or that he's you know, made a base with. We had Iski, so now Iski wasn't actually playing the rider, he was playing a character. And we had Nili, very talented martial artist.
Yeah, and we had Hassett, who's another stunt performer I've worked with a lot in the past. Amazing gymnast, yeah, does amazing tricks and stuff like that. Had him for the acrobatic stuff. And then Julia, who I worked with on Doctor Strange, and she's an amazing performer, talented martial artist. The shot itself is actually, it's 2 shots stitched together, but we kind of did it as one, didn't we? I can't actually believe we pulled it off.
We literally did it in 2 takes.
The sun was setting basically, and obviously as well trying to match light and stuff. It's, you know, within this scene it's literally the sunset sort of thing, so which it kind of works anyway.
Yeah, the fact these guys did it in 2 takes was amazing, really helped us. Again, one of those shots that you've had in your imagination and then like the previews and that kind of stuff for a while, and then seeing it kind of play out in live action was really cool. The final part of the day was all the zombies up against the gate, so this was a nice point to get the extras to show their faces. They were like really into it, just like going mental against the fence. We did have a bit of an incident where the fence wasn't as secure as we thought, and the zombies like really went for it and ended up just like smashing through the fence and like kites to the floor. Almost killed poor Nili, but it was fine. That was the end of day 2, and I think this was just overall like my favourite day of the shoot, just because it all kind of ran to plan, sun was shining, and we got some really amazing shots.
Yeah. Everyone performed well, everyone's working well together. It's day 2, everyone kind of bonding and gelling better and smoother and working more efficiently, so it was a good day.
And we got a good Chinese takeaway for lunch as well, so that's good. Then we were into day 3. We were shooting at an amazing location. So we managed to get this location called Paddington Central. So in London, there's the big train station called Paddington Station, and then next to it is this like business park. When you get this location, you essentially get the entire thing. So skyscrapers, it's this amphitheatre that sits in the middle of it. It's got its own underground road network, which looked like London roads. So it fit so perfectly with what we wanted to do.
Yeah, it just allowed, basically we got, essentially 3 locations in one, didn't we?
It feels like proper London. This day is actually the opening of the proof of concept. So it was a great location to start off with. It gives it a good production value, makes it feel big scale. Whereas day 1 was kind of Iski's time to shine with fighting skills, this day was really about Matt's BMX skills. This is the part of the sequence where we had him jumping over barriers, riding up walls, doing all kinds of cool stuff.
So we had Nick Chopping, stunt coordinator there, supervising everything, making sure everything was safe, going through progressions of rehearsing, Matt on his own, then bringing in the zombies and stuff, bit by bit. So we build it up to the point where we're ready to shoot. Having Nick there was really, really important and really helpful. Just made sure we kept everything safe and that Matt felt safe, that he could do what he needed to do, not worry about hitting performers or hitting public. There's a lot of interaction with me on the camera, but making sure we keep a safe distance and that we're not going to smash into each other and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, a lot of skating on this one, and most of the time wants to go full speed and get into his regular speed, but he actually sometimes had to dial it back a bit so that I could keep up and that we kept the same distance so that we keep focused and things like that and keep the frame that we wanted. It was a slightly different experience for him, but he did really well.
As a director, this was a really cool day, I think, for both of us, just in that, you have these ideas of like a BMX flying up a wall to avoid a zombie or like jumping his barriers and stuff, and then Matt being able to then do that and capture it on film was really cool.
Seeing it come to life is it's really cool. One of the biggest challenges shooting at this location was the fact that we weren't able to stop members of the public coming into the space. So although we had obviously hired the location and we can use it, it was still open to the public. So our PAs and our AD team, Mitchell, Morgan, Hayden, Marty, Paulina, Dan, as well as our dad, Gary, had the job of locking off, which meant holding the members of the public, stopping them from coming into the space that we were using at the time for that particular shot. By the end of the day, we had moved into the amphitheatre section of the location. It was basically the last sort of sunny day of September, so everyone was out and people come there to eat their lunch. It actually got pretty busy.
They had a really tough job because it was in the hundreds of people that were there that were kind of moving about, and for some films, people being in the background might not matter too much, but as this is supposed to be the zombie apocalypse and it's not supposed to be a single person, and we're we're like shooting wide shots showing huge areas. Those guys had such a tough job of basically making sure that at every angle, everywhere we looked, there was no people wandering about. We had loads of zombies kind of like tumbling down the stairs, all that kind of stuff, which was our stunt guys. The public were obviously very interested in what was going on. They were kind of watching. We had people like trying to take photos, asking what film we were making. It was quite cool. It made it feel like big scale, made it feel quite exciting.
Yeah, again, added that kind of extra level of pressure, but the team were great. You know, everyone was nice to everyone, and sometimes the public can be quite like, well, no, I have a right to be here, so you can't move me. But I think everyone on the whole was pretty.
I think there was a few of those.
But like, I don't think anyone was troublesome.
You know, Dan and his team are basically running all over the place to try and get everyone organised, and we and George were realising that we were going to have to cut a sequence out because we were up against it, and the section we would cut out was an extra bit of action. It wasn't essential to the story of what we were doing, but we were having to make that decision on the fly, which isn't ideal, but I was happy in that while all that kind of pressure was there, me and George were able to just kind of step away, take a few minutes to work it out. Because we planned it so well, we had the pre-vids, we were able just to say, well, if we take this section out and just cut it to here, it would all work, and it worked out fine.
It's a shame that we lost that section, but those added things that we're not used to, where like having to lock off and stuff, just takes that extra time.
The lesson learned is that as soon as we finished this shoot, we went back to our line producer for the actual feature film, and we went back over our schedule and added some extra days to the schedule. Another potential reason to shoot something like a proof of concept before you shoot a feature, because it's a test run, basically a dry run for a lot of stuff you're going to do. I want to mention Matteo, who was our sound recordist. He had a very interesting job on the shoot because essentially there was no dialogue until right at the end. So Matteo's job was to capture the sound of the bike, like the jumps, the skids,
The zombies,
the zombies kind of hitting the floor, them chasing. He was kind of constantly, I suppose, getting more ambient sound or sound design type stuff rather than like dialogue, which typically a sound recordist would be getting. We'd just see him slotting himself into like these kind of like tight spaces and stuff, and just to make sure he was getting that sound. So once we got through the kind of amphitheatre section, we had to then go and shoot some of the very first shots of the sequence. These are really important because obviously we're going to be showing this proof of concept to potential investors. We want those investors to look at these and be impressed straight away. Big thanks to Sean and Chris, who was his gaffer on that day. They really made these shots look pretty. It's kind of like our first reveal of the rider, the hero shot, and they look really nice. So good job to them. And then we also had the introduction of our first zombie, which was Dacio.
Yeah, Dacio, who's another stunt performer I've worked with a lot. He's a great guy. And so we had him first of all running a dead man, so Jason holding the wire. And so as he hits, he looks like he really snaps back. And then we cut into the shot of him sliding across the green screen lino into frame. That's the kind of reveal of the first kill.
An important moment from like the makeup side of things and costume, because this is our first zombie reveal. If they look crap, then the audience again is just straight away going to be like not invested.
So they were the last shots.
Yeah,
of the day and
was
the
a
last
wrap,
shots of the shoot. Yeah, so that was that, and we were tired but happy. With the shoot done and all our footage securely backed up on multiple hard drives, we then went into our post-production stage, starting with the edit, which we got together pretty quick actually. Because it had already been so heavily pre-vised, and with the pre-production we'd done on it already, it wasn't like a lot of edit to find. It was kind of, we'd already kind of mapped out the pacing and everything through pre-vis. So I then started on the visual effects. Most of the visual effects work on this was kind of world building, really kind of taking what we had and adding to it to create that kind of post-apocalyptic world. And then like a lot of painting out things, blood hits for the fights. We actually did a full digi-double for Ronnie when he gets hit with the bat. The process is basically you take your actor in their costume, you take lots of photos, and then you feed those photos into a software that pieces all those photos together to create a textured mesh of your character, which you can then animate and manipulate in 3D software. So I then took that into Blender, created the animation, like a ragdoll animation, like you see in computer games and stuff, and then created the simulation, put it into After Effects and got a shot. So
yeah, and obviously meant we didn't actually have to hit a small boy with a baseball bat. We could create it like a virtual version.
We did think about it, but we didn't. The shots, like the drone shots for Millennium Meals, we kind of added in a few extra zombies here and there digitally. Sam, our drone guy, had started using FPV drones. FPV drones, first-person view drones. So basically, they're like these little racing drones that have cameras, and they wear goggles so they can see what the camera sees from the drone, and they can get these really cool, like dynamic flying shots, like really fast. But we didn't actually know that Sam had brought his FPV to the shoot. After the shoot finished, he sent us all the footage, and he said, and he chucked in this FPV footage just for us to see, what it could do. And one of the shots looked so cool, like coming down the building. I actually took that shot and kind of because it had all like our vehicles and everything in, we hadn't set the shot for it, so I had to paint out all the vehicles, all the people, track in like a CG fence, you know, the rest of the set, regrade it and everything, and then put in CG Matt on a bike. So I had to create Matt digitally, animate him riding his bike, add the zombies running towards him, stuff to create this whole new shot basically. But it worked so well, and because it was actually a shot we wanted originally, but we hadn't had time to get, so we kind of got a shot back that we'd not been able to get. But it's all pretty much all digital apart from the plate itself, so that was interesting to do, and something I've not done before. So some of the zombie shots, I might have just enhanced the look of the zombies. Obviously Ariana and her team did a really great job, but there was stuff like I just made the eyes look a bit darker and red around the eyes, and obviously changing the eye colour of zombies, so giving them those white eyes, you know, like cloudy eyes and stuff like that. So that was the most of the VFX work, and yeah, it's taken quite some time to do on your own, but it also means I have complete control over it and I can make it how I want to make it. So,
and then on top of that, we obviously had the sound design and music. Sound design, we worked with Barney Sparks, and we've worked with Barney before on our Cable short film. Did an amazing job, and I think a few other things as well. Yeah, and Barney is like a speed demon. He kind of goes away and gets stuff done really fast. So we get like a first pass and a first listen really quickly. Yeah, and he's just really good at kind of matching the right sound with the the right action. And especially for his proof of concept, we want to sell it on its cinematics. And obviously, sound is just as important, sometimes more important than the imagery. So having that high sound quality really steps up your game. Then also we had John, our composer. We've worked with John since literally since we started making YouTube videos. Basically, he does an amazing job. He works on big features and stuff like that. John has always been a kind of supporter of ours and comes and helps out on our projects, so really real pleasure working with him as always.
The music was really important actually, because we kind of realised it is very segmented, the proof of concept. You've got your opening scene, you've got the fight scene, and you've got the Millennium Mill scene, so the music is the real connecting piece that draws them all together and makes them feel like one
cohesive piece.
Yeah, so that was really important that John nailed that. Good job, John.
When you're trying to make a production like this, where you're stepping up and doing things to a high level, we wanted this to potentially fit into the actual feature that we might actually use it in the feature film. You're basically going to need extra money. We did put some of our own money into getting it made. But we also had the support from Matt Brady, who was our executive producer on this. Matt is actually a filmmaker himself. We've been kind of working with him on his stuff, and he's taken a big interest in our work and stepped in to help us. We wanted to say a huge thank you to him for his support on this project. We wouldn't be able to have made it to the scale that we did without his support.
And obviously not just financially, Matt came and actually helped out on the shoot as well. He's a production assistant on the shoot, so he got hands-on. He's just a great character to have on set as well. So it's good to have him on board.
So overall, I think there was a lot of good lessons learned. About kind of schedule we can keep to, the scale. Working at this scale with this many people. So for us, that's great, because as directors, we're again learning a lot of stuff about what we're hopefully going to make as a feature film.
It did highlight some things about our work mentality and handing over some responsibilities, because we're so used to working with such a small team and doing a lot of things ourselves, because you have to try and sort of let go of some of that control. I think moving forward is something we'll consider more, will help us to deliver a better product as well. So
I suppose the question is, was this worth it? Is it worth you going out to make a proof of concept yourself? We'll find out the conclusive answer to that soon. We'll let you know. If you find us announcing our feature film coming out soon, then that it worked. But regardless, it's a huge new experience for us, steps up our game, so that whatever we work on in the future, we know we can do a bigger and better job. Regardless, I'm happy we've made this proof of concept.
Yeah.
I already knew we could do it, but double proves that we can do what we say we can do, and I know we could go forward and make a feature now. And I would advise anyone, if you really are passionate about getting a film made and you want to go out and get a budget, a proof of concept is definitely something that's worth putting together.
And if anything, the relationships you create by doing it as well, you're building your team, know who you can work with, who you work well with, maybe who you didn't work well with. It's all a learning experience. Every time you do a shoot, you learn something, and about either the process or about yourself or just about everything. You just take that forward into the next one, be better off for it. So it's definitely, I'd advise something it's worth doing, definitely.
We'll take this opportunity to say one big final thank you to our entire team, everyone that got involved, everyone that helped out. Lots of people that just kind of helped out with little bits and bobs. And if there's any names we haven't mentioned, we're thinking of you, but there's a lot of names that were involved. A huge thank you to our extras and just everyone involved.
My wife Annie, she helped out.
And Dad, but just put your top on more next time. We really hope you've enjoyed that video, guys, and hopefully we're going to be moving forward with a feature soon. So if you want a kind of more detailed behind the scenes look at that kind of thing, let us know down in the comments and we'll try and provide those videos for you. Obviously, huge thanks to Pav, who shot this behind the scenes. You did a lovely job, Pav, well done. And a big thank you to Tom and Amanda, who did some behind the scenes stills for us. We got some great stuff out of that as well. So to the whole behind the scenes team, thank you very much. Thanks for watching, guys, and see you again soon.